kind of lag or delay and get everything going. I had to go. I haven't brought out my other computer. I got them all together, but this is the alter ego version of WDLJ. Um, and it deals with my journey as identity disorder. Um, I've gone over several times with several people to understand the difference between identities and, as they call it, personalities. Identities are something that you create and then you live a life and it becomes part of you. And it's very difficult to what they call integrate all this because it depends on how long you dealt with the situation or how long you was that identity. But you do suffer the consequences, good or bad, of that identity. The journey is I'm going to take on a program that really wants to deal with and understand how do I manage and how do I'm able to manage a lifestyle of productivity, success in some areas, and adapt to the failures, setbacks. Um, I don't know how to write a book like I told everybody else, so I will be interviewing with several people that have taken a great interest in this duly because there's a lot of shootings, of course, but trying to clarify how to handle such a situation. Now, many people don't understand that there's many views. You can go on the internet, and I advise you to look at all of them before you make a decision on which one you're going to do. Talk about this, but you must understand that this is not an easy process. It ain't going to be an overnight success, and you're not going to feel overnight gratification. I got to be some more later, but I had to get this out because I'm going on this journey, and I'm going to use this platform to let you know how things are going and where it's taking me. As of this disease, as you get older, it seems to get worse, and it becomes very difficult to navigate different things. You know, you have so many ideas and so many ways you want to go. Your trust level falls. You don't really trust anyone except for your true inner circle. And that's what you develop during a period of time. Now, I'm not saying that everybody that got a mental illness has to do this process, but I believe as technology has grown and knowledge has grown, and there are more people with mental illness out there and making more people aware. Now, one thing to think about this is it only happens to 1%. And in males, it is very, very rare. It constitutes between a traumatic event between the ages of 5 and 7. I never go into details of how this happened to me because then it will create a backlash that I just prefer not to discuss because it doesn't help the situation. It ain't going to change it. I'm 57 years old, so it's not going to change nothing by revealing what happened to me. But usually that is how it is created, where it is at my level. On my level, it started at an young age, and therefore I wasn't able to develop my self-awareness, self-esteem, and all the things that go along with that age range. I wasn't able to develop a team. I wasn't able to go through the proper puberty, young adulthood. Recently, I've been able to be understanding and reflective of being an older adult. It is very important that we gain some knowledge on mental illness, signs, so we can prevent some of the things that is going on in society today. It seems like killing people is just the norm, from young kids to adults, from women to men. And we have to figure out how to change that dynamic. And the best way it is not make it shameful to suffer from such a mental illness. And many people do that. Many people shun you. Many families disown you. Many people during my time in my age frame, it was taboo. Now, some people use it as a method of sympathy, a method of gaining fame, method of, boosting themselves. This is not what this is about. This is about really understanding the details and ways to help your family members that you see that be going through different stages, especially the children. Some of it is isolation, then it becomes aggression, then it becomes lack of self-worth. And a lot of people that suffer this dissociative or whatever, however they want to label it, usually commit suicide by the age of 25. From my studies and my knowledge and my understanding. You can't learn this from a book. You can't treat this from a book. I continue to tell people, when you go see a psychologist and a psychiatrist, you must understand that these people normally have not experienced what you have. And so they're based in theirs on assumptions and past treatments. But you got to treat each individual as one. You have to get to know that person, and most places don't. That's why we have so many people in the streets. That's why we have so many people angry, because you don't treat them as an individual. You don't provide the program necessary for each separate mental issue. You don't help a schizophrenic with the person suffering from manic depression. You can't help a bipolar with passive aggressive behavior. You have all these people in one group, and what happens is they get just associated in that group because they don't really see no one like them, or they don't see examples of themselves and what they're going through. You got to hear this story, but you're not doing this, so it doesn't really affect you. You have to concentrate more on the mental illness and provide groups only dedicated to that, so that we can get a better understanding of this whole dilemma of your mental illness and how it affects you and how it affects your family and your surroundings. Many people ask me what are symptoms. Me, as far as myself, I always knew there was something wrong. There was always something different. Sometimes with these alters, you're able to develop skills that normal people don't. I have a high IQ, but yet sometimes I don't. I can do things that sometimes I can't. Sometimes you maintain a constant. That's something that you focus on, and this is why I try to teach people that suffer from dissociative identity disorder or borderline or whatever they want to label it. But I can tell one by just talking to them. I can tell you what you are. I can tell you, what you describe what you're going through. Sometimes I can even read people and tell you, you've been through some difficult times, and yet you're trying to compensate this way, that way, when just facing the problem is the solution. I'm here just to bring new light to the situation. I'm here to open a venue for the situation where we attack it, and where we attack it vigorously, because the system is not The system needs us, just like they need criminals, they need drug addicts, they need all these distractions so that they can continue to do what they do and maintain stability. They always need a boogeyman. And they've chosen mental illness as that boogeyman. But everybody want to use mental illness as an escape when they commit crimes or egregious events. I always tell people, do not get that confused. You know, mental illness is, do not believe the lie. You have full control of your ability. You have a choice. Even when you're going through whatever episode, it's uncontrollable, yes. You just weigh it. Is it detrimental to others? Is it illegal? Will it hurt yourself? And then that it helps you make that choice. Yes, it's an urge. I'm not going to say that it's not. And sometimes society pushes people to that, because I've been through a lot of things that want to make me kill. You know, it's like a vampire. It depends on what you have in you. I have several characteristics. One's a psychopath. One's very intelligent, high IQ, reads, understands. Then you have a caretaker. Then you have a spiritual person. And then these are my 5 distinct. The other ones I don't really have to deal with as much because it's so far back and they've been removed. Not completely, but you know, they sit the back seat. And then I have the intellectual, the negotiator of this group in my mind. Now you must understand, it doesn't adjust with the situation. No, I don't do that. They act when they want. So you have to navigate. They got different wants, different tastes, different things they want to do. And you have to find that commonality amongst yourself within your mind. Because if you don't, one of them will gain control. And then it is very difficult to get that control from them until they choose to step back, or an event brings out the stronger or the more controlled identity. Most people know my history. Most people know the things I've done. Most people know I've been in institutions, I've been in jail, been to prison, committed egregious, physical assaults and all this kind of crazy things that come along with this disorder. So I become more reclusive, and this was a way for me to just release. It is not about how many people see it. I really tell people that all the time. I don't really care. But this is my form of release. And then I am able to just talk to myself, but not seem so bad. That's basically how it is, and try to figure out how to negotiate some of the events that are threatening my structure and my family, as I know of it. As identity, you create families. And when the pressure or that identity just loses interest and the next one comes, but that family is not the same to that identity. So therefore, that identity drifts or goes a separate way. Throughout my years, I've learned to find a commonality that locked my identities into place for over 20 years. I mean, they were there, but there was more of an equal concern for all of us. And being that my abuse started in childhood and through adolescence and through teenage years, I was able to lock onto the young people, the children. So I never wanted a child to suffer. I was always out there trying to do something for them and to make things better. This is how you maintain a mental illness. It could be depression, it could be manic, it could be bipolar, it can be all those issues, schizophrenia, all those things. Where you fail is you allow events to weaken your self resolve. And what I mean by that is something may happen, a family member may be lost, or someone done you wrong, will allow you to weaken, and that more aggressive behavior or identity or personality will come out. That's how I end up getting myself in trouble. Um, I got weak, and he was able to gain control. And like I tell people a lot of times, it cost me a lot of things and a lot of grief. Also, if you are an atheist or whatever you want to call yourself, you need faith. You can put faith in anything you choose. You can put faith in the world going to be better. The faith in a greater being, faith in yourself, because you have to have faith to make it past the bad days. There are many days I don't want to walk out that door. There are many days I want to die or kill myself. There's many days I want to kill people. There are many days I go through a lot of different emotion in one day. So me being able to come this far in my life and be able to tell people that tells me my faith and my destiny is what I'm doing now. My conflict of interest is the other identities. They have the desires and wants and abilities. And I need to learn to incorporate all this into one commonality, as I did when I was married. And losing my wife disorientated me. It really did. People don't understand that my premises of my life was to build my wife and her family and the children, and etc. When I was gone, I did not know which way to turn, left, right, or left. My wife put up with me for a long time, so with this disorder, and it got hard for her when, of course, the system tells you there's nothing that you can do, nothing we can do for him. So it is a very, very difficult situation to be in. But most people will not suffer this type of dilemma. So do not allow doctors to say borderline, or make sure that you understand that with this diagnosis, there's no medication really to control it, because what one medication may do to one, it will alter in the other. So it's very, very important to stay away from antidepressants, Prozac, lithium. In some cases, with people, volumes, then anything that's trying to control emotions, because you never know which one comes out. And if you are taking medication for antidepressant and that aggressiveness comes out, it is modified, and therefore it is more confident to do whatever it wants to do. Now, I've been on cocktails, what we call is medicine that normal people can't take. We just throw it together to maintain. So I never ever experienced a psychotic event. If people don't know what a psychotic event is, it's something that you do not never want to experience. For one, two, you become so enraged that your strength is, it's like being a superhero for 15 minutes maybe, but your adrenaline is running. Some people have been known to been shot and still got to the person they were after. It is very, very dangerous situation. So what you try to do is alleviate the problem. And the problem is who you surround yourself with how they behave, and are you putting yourself in a stressful environment, a dangerous environment, unhealthy relationship, um, those things. Everybody wants to be somebody. Everybody wants to be with someone. And fortunately for me, that came along, but it came along after a lot of pain, a lot of setbacks, and a lot of mistakes. Um, but I wasn't able to enjoy that aspect of my life. But now it's gone. And in their mind, it is gone. We did that. We're not doing that no more. So when people ask me about relationships, I tell them, no, I have no concern. And it sometimes comes off very rude or arrogant. But at this point in my life, I find no need for companionship or sex or anything like that. I tell people 3 years, 6 months, celibate. And I believe, hell, that's cool for me because I never experienced anything like this. You know, where you're able to control yourself to a point where it just becomes irrelevant. Um, Fulfilling each identity is very important. The only one you really don't want to fulfill, if you do, and most of you do, it's very rare that you do not have this aggressive personality, or if you develop the aggressive identity. It is very important that you keep that in containment because it will result in harm to yourself or others. And you will find yourself locked away for the rest of your life. Or do something egregious like shoot people, kill people for no reason, just kill people for the sake of killing. You know, this is what we're seeing in young children. The trauma in their young life is such greatness, but they're given these weapons that they can just automatically boom get. And that aggression takes over, and that's why they're killing. Killing with no remorse. That's what they're doing. Killing with no remorse. I blame society for that. You put these weapons in these streets, it is going to eventually get back to the suburbs, to the rich, the elite. It doesn't matter, because when you have children that are suffering from emotional, psychological, physical abuse, that anger, aggression will come out. And you put a gun in their hand, it's a ticking time bomb. They're desensitized by television. They don't look at TV like I did. If I could watch a show, and I tell everybody, hey, I need a kill count. That means I need so many dead bodies within so many minutes, or I'm bored. That doesn't mean I'm going to go out and do that, but I can understand this is how this is. And this is a movie and everything's extra, you know. But I've encountered violent people in my days of being institutionalized where they're dangerous. And no, they shouldn't be on the streets. And that's where parents have to come in to play. You have to determine if your child is too far gone. You have to place them in an institution where they can function, but they can never hit them streets. No child is born that way. So as a parent, you have to accept responsibility for it. Something you missed, maybe something you wasn't unaware of, or maybe it's just something you did. Most of it is what parental abuse or family abuse creates these type of people that do these egregious things. And then the parents say, oh my God, I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did. You allowed your child, one, if you allow your child to stay on the internet and deal with Snapchat, Instant, and all these different TikTok and all these things, but yet you don't have your child on the internet watching videos like this, or watching videos of history, or watching videos of science, or watching videos of math. To me, I don't believe children should have cell phones unless it's emergency. I believe connection phones, that means vital phone numbers. Access to the internet is very dangerous because these guys can pop in on your children and change your minds, because they can change minds of grown men. You have suburban white kids going over and fighting in Afghanistan against our own people. So the subjection of the mind is easy. You gain this as an identity disorder because you have to manipulate your way into every situation or identity that you choose. So manipulation of an individual is very easy. And I've noticed that it is extremely easy. You make them believe, and then they'll start believing themselves. So many people say, well, how do we combat something like this? How do we keep this from happening? You have to stop the source. The source, whatever, we'll say religion. The source of religion is you allow men or a woman to tell you what you should believe, what you should follow. Then you force that onto your children, who may find a different ideology or maybe subject to something different, and they show them something different. Now they're angry with you because they feel you lied to them. You never gave them opportunity to open up to everything. Now, I was sent to a Catholic school all my life. There's how it was. I went to my last year and a half at public school, learning event, all of it to me, because by then I had become more aggressive, ruthless. But it was also a growing period. I went to the Marines, growing period. Also, I went to LA, growing period, back home. But then one day it just clicked. I got to get away from my own family. And sometimes it's what it takes. And I left and never came back. I mean, I visit, but I'll never go back, never move back. But throughout that journey, I did gain awareness. And like I say, 1992, I was diagnosed with this identity. And why I say it was an identity, they didn't say personality. It was very, very clear on what he was telling me, that what you're experiencing is a fluctuation of your identities. And at that time, there was a stressful situation I was going through. So I had to navigate my way through it. Maybe I believe I should have stayed longer. Maybe I should have went through the program. It just sometimes you feel that when you have something that's unique, it's like the second, third, or fourth time I've been through poking and prodding. I had a unique mouth, dental. I was growing teeth in my root of my mouth, and then one grew in my neck, throat. I had bipatella. I have a rare fracture in my hip. I have flat feet. I have stigmatism. I had hearing issues. So, and they're always considered rare in that day. So you just continue to be prodded and poked, and and I didn't want that. I wanted to just deal with it whatever way it came. But now with technology and modern methods and more people with myself trying to voice and get through people, that it is more open to help you. And you need to be more open, but you must also evaluate that person that is supposedly your psychiatrist and psychologist. The most egregious thing is that ever happened to an individual is civil. If you do suffer from this, it is a great one movie to watch, a book, or study, because that psychologist created those identities within her, manipulated it so it could make her famous. That is something that I find egregious. You've known psychologists to molest their patients. It is very dangerous to allow somebody to play with your head. So you must be very confident in what you feel in yourself, because they will manipulate you to think anything they want to think to make themselves better. The purpose of a psychologist, I really don't know. Psychiatrist is a legalized dope dealer. They give you drugs legally. And I just believe that you have to find a person who really cares about people and genuine in their heart. And you can sense that, you can understand that, you can feel it. I'm not saying your journey is going to be easy, especially if you're in your later years. It is best to catch these situations as youth. But I always tell everybody, do not let them put your kids on drugs. Their mental is not able to handle drugs. Ritalin, all those things they put kids on is terrible. The effect on their body, their mind development is has a long-term effect. How's a Ritalin kid? So you must understand, being a parent of a child like that that has a mental situation on, you got to find out how. You got to look at yourself and say, how did this happen? Then you have to help them navigate everything, their anger, frustration, sensitivity. I grew up, my grandmother would always have me reading or anything that kept my mind moving. And that's why I was able to navigate a lot of things. You have to find that niche your kid has. Do not deter them from that. No matter what you think of it. They say they want to be an artist, they want to be a dancer. Don't look at it as, you ain't gonna make no money, you ain't gonna be famous, you ain't gonna be rich, because they might be stuck with you. They might not be able to go into society. But also be aware of society creating introverted children, locked in rooms playing video games, don't even want to go outside, don't want to play sports, don't want to do anything but that video game or that YouTube channel or that Instagram, because those millions and millions of followers. And then you people that are doing it, if you're doing it for monetary gain or to make yourself more visible, then you have low self-esteem. If you need people to tell you how great you are, how good you're doing, that's low self-esteem. If you got all bling bling and showmanship in the back of your videos, then you don't believe in what you're really talking about. Now, if you're just doing fashion or those type of things, that's a career. But if you're out here trying to touch people and give people ideas and reach people and try to curb what we're going through right now, there ain't time for no flash and quick words and this and that. It's just got to be straight, because people want it straight. People don't like the truth. They love a liar. But you have to make them see the truth. You got to keep hitting them. That's what I used to do to my kids all the time. That you too much. You talk. But the ones that did listen now, when they're older, those things are rimming in their ears, or they were in a bad situation, they could see it coming. Or they know how to handle adversity. Something that's set back in their life don't knock them down and they can't get back up and they start doing drugs and all these other things. The ones that didn't, they fell on the wayside. This is real life. Life don't care. Life has no mercy, and life keeps going on. So in my journey, as I go through this with these doctors or new generation of doctors, I would say, because they are more in tune with learning, not diagnosing. They are more in tune in trying to curb the issue instead of making themselves famous. There's some critical incidents of doctors claiming they've cured a person, and that person goes on to kill a spouse, themselves, or many others. You must understand that the mind, when you think you're controlling that person is very patient, for one thing. Very, very deceptive. But if he has any agreements against you or something to prove, that is his only set mission. He can accomplish anything. He can go to school. He can get a degree. But at the end of the day, he's going to commit that crime. Just a point of letting you know you never had control. You know, I always believe that children that are placed in a room with a psychologist that is trying to diagnose or trying to get through to them, it's not going to happen. That child just going to look at them as though whatever. It has to be someone close to them that they hold dear. And it may be not a family member you like. I'm not saying I don't spend nights and things like that, because you never know the dynamics of anybody. But genuinely, you know a true person. So understanding there are goods and evils to mental illness. You have to pick. You have to pick good over evil. You know it. And you sense it, because everybody is born with morality and immorality. You know it. So in closing, I don't know if a book will come out in 1 year, 2 years, or a video. I don't know. We're working on that, because I don't write legibly, for one. And most of the time I just talk. So this is going to be a new method that I'm going to just try. And we have different sessions and talk. Because I can do this for hours and hours and hours and talk about several different subjects or whatever you choose on certain days. And certain days I can't talk to you at all. And seeing my videos and getting them out, I just don't really know how at this moment. So I'm just collecting them so that when they do see, they can maybe manage to look at them and then get them out there at a much faster rate to a much larger volume. So some people can have hope. I have one more to do that I have to get to. I'm going to try to do 3 of them today. This is why I call this the journey, because I'm starting to go on a quest that is going to give me the opportunity to do this and remove myself from a lot of situations that kind of make it hard for me to do this. Life ain't fair. Sorry. That's what I tell people all the time. Life ain't fair and ain't nothing guaranteed. You can be the richest person in the world and still suffer. So it's not about money. It's about self-worth, self-esteem. You've been listening to WDLJ, Alter Ego The Journey. I'm Derek. I want to thank you for your time, and hopefully you enjoy your night. Thank you.